Yeah. So today the idea for this class will be to see and create a project that will be focusing on creating a Python program that can understand what you are speaking and then can make sense out of it, meaning convert it into text and perform action based on your command. Now I have in here I have this file called text to speech.py where we will be writing our program. Now before we do that, before we write our program, there are two steps in here that we will be basically focusing on doing. The first one being getting Python understand what we are speaking. Okay? Making Python understand what we are speaking. Now, by that I'm not basically meaning कि ठीक है Python will understand it. It's basically I'm saying कि we will give our input as an audio format. ठीक है. So aim will be tell Python or make Python understand this is converting into text format now, because if once we have this information in text, then we can write our program based on that, right? So let's say if we have our audio, uh, we have our audio converted into text, and I can say like if text, if this text variable, let's say if uh, Spotify in text, then we can say play Spotify. What are like we can create a function to open that app and play all those things, right? We can do. Or if we let's say if we say if play song in text, then we can open YouTube and search for the particular song that you're referring to. And all those things are we can do it again. Those possibilities will be there. Okay. Now the first step here, as we mentioned, was to make or convert these text into audio. Give me a second. Now the first step is to convert this voice into audio, or this audio into text, right? So for that we are going to use the speech recognition library, which at the end is basically using the Google AI or Google machine learning program to convert our audio to a text format. Okay? So we will have to install it by using pip install speech recognition. You can install a specific version, or like I'm going with the latest one. Now in your terminal you can do pip install this. I think I will have this already installed, so for me it will get already installed, like requirement already installed. Now if you go in here, if you go in down, it will tell you what are the dependencies. There will be certain dependencies for you that you will have to make sure that you have installed, and again when you are trying to install it, it will basically tell you to install those as well, so you won't have to worry. So again, if you have Python 2.6 or I think Python 3, you are good to go with that. One thing that you might need is the pygame thing, py audio, which can be a tricky thing to install, but yeah, I think in the latest, if you are using the latest system, you won't have any issue. Now once you have this installed, you will have to start using this in your program. So the first and the easiest way to start with any library, any new library, is you can just go and see the documentation here. Okay. So if I go and I can just get one example where it's saying this is how you can use it. Okay. So I can simply import this first, right? So I can say import specification as SR. Again, this second part here we're saying edge SR. It's just so that we don't have to write this entire thing each time. Okay? So we can just refer this as SR in further example. So like if for an example, let's say if I'm using a random library, and if I do import random, now I want to generate some random number, I will have to say random dot like randint, let's say. Okay. So every time I will have to write random, right? Now, for speech recognition, you will have to write this speech recognition every time when you're using this. but like saying it like as SR will make it a bit easier for us, so that in the next time when we want to refer this, we can I can just do SR. Now I will initialize this, so I will like, again you can just name this variable anything. I'm just going with R, and that you can, we have to do SR dot recognizer. Okay? We are creating a recognizer which will recognize our our microphone, our audio, and then we will we will try to fetch the the output, the input in the in our microphone. Okay? So I will say recognizer. Now once we do this, the idea is we will try to access our microphone. So I have tried this without the microphone, and most of the time it won't work for you, because it might not able to fetch your audio directly from the laptop speaker. It's better to use an earphone or a headset. So this is what you will have to do anyways. You will end up doing, do with sr.microphone as your source. In here you will do r.listen, okay? And you will listen to the source. You will listen to this source is r.listen, and r is your recognizer. Okay? Now before doing this, you will, there is like some functionality that library gives you by default. One of them being, you can adjust for the ambient noise. Like, so when you are speaking, there are two inputs that it will be getting. One, your audio or your voice, and the second is the background noise. Right? So you can filter for that. You can adjust for that by doing adjust for ambient noise. Now, okay, obviously you have to pass the source in here, which source you are talking about, and then I think you can pass for a duration as well. Now this duration you can tune up based on what's your surrounding, and or how easily it's able to identify all those things for you. And once you do this, let's just print for something for a second. Let's say print, or let's just print after this noise thing. We are ready to listen. Hey, not we are. Let's just say I am ready to listen. This r.listen will basically listen to whatever input it's getting, and we're going to store this somewhere. Let's say audio. And I will store this into an audio. Now, once you get this audio format, audio information, now using the libraries by default, Google's AI model, for Google machine learning model, you can convert this into text. Okay, so let's say text. Okay, let's say text from audio. Text from audio will be r.recognize. Recognize, and this is a Google thing. Again, so this function will basically at the end, what this will do, this will take your audio, it will take your audio and give it to a machine learning model, and that machine learning model has already been trained on various data sets of audio, and were able to convert them into text. So this is what will convert it back into text. And once you get your text, you can just print your text in here. Do this, and let's just say dot lower. This will basically convert your string into lower cases. Now this is the one base idea for it to understand your program. So now we can add one more thing in here. Which, so what happens is, when you're writing a program, it turns out that you might end up doing some mistakes. Okay, you might end up doing some mistakes. So if I go in here, if I say, so this file now is in my Python 9 folder, so I can say Python, and I can say text to speech.py. If I do this, so again it's saying I am ready to listen, but you are not always sure you have done the right thing always, and this might not always work. So yeah, see, this time it's working fine. I think do this again. It's saying I'm ready to listen over time. So yeah, we are able to do, we are able to make it work. We are getting the output. the first thing that we have to make sure, one thing that we have to make sure is we should be able to do this again and again, right? We should be able to do this again and again. Now again, it's very easy, like you can just do a while loop and you can just say while true, and you can keep all this information inside the indentation, and now it will be working in the while loop. Let me increase the size of this. It's visible in the video. Now with the while loop, this will keep on executing again and again, okay? But there is one more thing that we'll have to keep in mind, that being the issues, okay? That being the issue that might come, okay? Now whenever you're writing a program, like for a professional company or something, there is one approach that people follow, that being the try and accept approach, okay? So what's a try and accept, okay? So I will show you once separately. So whenever you're writing some syntax or some lines of code, you can keep them inside a try and accept. So whenever your syntax causes some issue, like whenever there is an error in your syntax, it won't terminate your program, it will call the accept method. So this is how you do it. You can, this is the one, this is like the base syntax of it, try and accept. And in here you write what type of exception you want to fetch, okay? So based on the issue that you are doing, the error that you're expecting, you can type key which particular exception you want to catch. So you just do accept exception, it will catch every exception that is coming in here. You write your syntax, in here you write your program, okay? So let's say I'm writing some print something, okay? And whatever exception comes in here you can raise or you can just print, okay? Let's say string R, string E that you want to print. Again, this E will contain your error, the error that you got. So let's say you are writing this for your website, okay? And whenever some exception comes, you might want to send an email to you yourself, or you want to log that information. Like by logging, I mean you want to save that information in some file, so that you can just go and read it once a while to see what type of issues are coming in your website. So that is the try and accept thing that we are going to use in here as well, to make sure if if at any time some issue comes in, we are able to identify what issue it was. So I can do try, and this whole code will go inside my try. Again, this is optional step, you don't have to do this. Once you reach this point, you are able to successfully make Python understand what you are saying. Okay, so we will do a few function on that. If whatever you're saying, like, is it making sense to Python? But we'll just add the try accept as well. Now in here you can directly say accept exception as e, and for now I can just print it out. You can say print, I will just string e. I can just say here. Now this is the latest, like how people write in Python 3. If you're still writing in Python 2, you can just do plus as well. I mean, you can do plus in Python 3 as well, but this is how people prefer writing these things now. So the dot format will basically replace all these curly brackets with the value that I'm passing inside my format. This is one variable that will be replaced with this curly bracket. If I want to add two variables, then I can add two curly brackets, but then I will have to make sure I am passing two variables in here as well, and everything will work as strings in here. Now once we are here, so now this will run multiple times. So if I execute this twice, like now I'm saying something, then it should understand that and it should print that out once I stop talking, I think. But when I'm done with that, like when it's done with that, it should again ask for, now see, it's again ready to listen. So this loop will again keep on running, right? And in a particular time, so this works in two ways, like for how long I have worked with this. If you keep on talking, it will keep on listening, but if you stop at some point, it will break there. Some it got some error, so there it's saying this, but I think it's not, wasn't able to actually catch it, so nothing was coming there. Sometimes it's it will end up in listening in blocks, where you give a pause, it will stop listening there, it will break there. Now the one thing that you can do in here is you can say this. Let's say you can have some pass phrase again like uh, some info variable, let's say the information variable right now is empty. Okay, in here you can say while info not while exit not in info. So I'm saying, so this info is some string again. Right now it's empty, but this is some string. While exit is not in info, I want to do this again. Meaning later in here after printing this, I will do this. Now every time I say something, this info variable will be updated, and when running the while loop again, it will check for if there is an exit in that info. Meaning now I can exit this system using my voice again. Now if I run this again, first time if I don't say anything specific to this specific word, it won't come in the string, right? And it won't exit. Like now I said exit, so it should exit. See? So I said exit in here and it exited. And if you don't say exit in the first phase, it won't exit. So after running this, just say exit. And it will exit. Now, similarly, like this is the first step of basically you making your program understand what you are saying. Okay. Using this, you can now iterate over this, and you can write more things. And like this is how you identify stuff. You don't end up writing info equal to exit. Okay. Don't end up type doing these things. And in here you can create your own function now. Okay. You can create your own function that will do certain tasks for you based on what information you are giving in here. In here, like for example, you can write if, let's say, uh, music in info. In here you can you can write some way of opening YouTube and searching for whatever text the user is saying, and you can search open YouTube and search for that in there. Okay. All those possibilities come there in here after do that. But the one that we are going now with is we will try and, so this is the first step, right? We are speaking something and Python is able to make sense out of it. The second step is we are typing something and Python is able to talk back to us. Like this is how Alexa works, right? Or any other AI works. It's able to understand what I'm saying and it's again able to communicate back. So now we will have some other function in here which will be, let's say, speak the text. Speak the text, and I will pass this info in there, which will be my text that I want it to speak. Now we can add something else as here in here, like a response basically. For now, like I'm just giving whatever I'm speaking, it will speak it back. But in here you can have some function, like let's say response will to make response. You can pass a text. This function you can write to understand what I'm saying, and it will it will give me a response back. Then this function you can write by your own. Okay. But for now I'm just skipping that part. I will just try and make it speak what I was speaking. To make it speak, we are going to use another library. Okay? Another Python library, the code that is written by someone else, and that is pyttsx3, not 2 3. This is the library. You can just copy it here and you can open your terminal to install this. Pip install pyttsx3. I think for me it's already installed, so I will get this. But for you, it will install when like the first time you're doing it. So once you have this installed, let me full screen this. You will start by importing your library here by pyttsx3, and I will use this in my function. So I will create this function. Let's create this function in here. It's a function you can create it anywhere. And this is my text, or let's say command. One is just a fancy word for this. Now there are a few steps in here that we will have to do to make sure it works properly. First, we will have to initialize the library. In here, I will also, like, you can say as like a pyt, that you don't have to write all of it, but it's not that long. The first thing that we have to do is initialize this. So I will say dot init. Okay, and like I will initialize in some variable, like we initialize the speech recognition in the R. So let's say server, or let's say module. Now then I can say module dot say. Now what I want it to say is the command, right? Want it to speak the command. And once I have given the command, then the last thing that I will have to do is run and wait. Now if you're curious about how this work now is, you can again go and explore the library basically. This is the very basic step of it. What you want to do, you have to initialize this, and then you have to say what it wants to speak, and you have to run it and wait. So whatever commands you are giving it, it will execute them and wait for further commands. Now you can explore further things in here as well. Okay? You can set volumes for it, how loud or slow you want it to speak and all. I think there might be some way of tuning in, what language or what voice you want it to speak. All those things you can explore. Okay? But for now, we have written this small thing, and let's see if it works. Okay? So if I go in here and I do this, now ideally what I am saying now, it should speak me back before again trying to listen to me. That's the idea.
Idly what I'm saying now is to speak me back before again try listen to me.
Now I hope you were able to listen that as well. If that worked well, I let me check if you were able to see the audio. There's the
No, I
desktop
hope
audio.
you rebel to English in that as well. If that will work well, let me check if you are able to see the video.
Yeah, now again, if you were able to listen to the audio basically, but that's the idea. Now it might not be very accurate every time, so that you have to
Listen
make
to the
sure that.
audio, but that's the idea. It might not be very accurate every time.
Yeah, stop this. But that's all for this. This is how you can make a kind of a base Alexa for yourself, and then you can add functionality for yourself. Now you can have multiple things in this. You can have, you can write commands to, you can say it send email to this particular person, and it will, it will get that information like that. Then it can ask you for email ID. Then you can just speak it back the email ID. You can speak it back the from address to address, what is the subject that you want to add and all. And then you can send an email to someone. Okay. Similarly, you can say it, can search on YouTube and search for this particular thing. And then it can open YouTube and it will search for that particular thing. So those are the ideas. I hope you like this, and yeah, try doing this by your own. And if you have any questions, let me know. We'll try and answer those things.